Can you believe it? It's finally here. It's the most wonderful time of the year, unless you get stressed out about how to pay for it. SaveWithConrad.com can help you make this the best Christmas ever. You won't make a house payment for the next 2 months. That's right. Skip your next 2 house payments and use all that cash for your extra holiday expenses. And come next year, you're going to have a lower monthly payment. Don't put Christmas on a credit card. Pay your credit card debt off at SaveWithConrad.com. NMLS number 65084, Equal Housing Lender. SaveWithConrad.com. This is your reminder. It's never too early to play holiday music. It's never too early to start thinking about gifts either. Whether it's for a friend or, well, the friend in your pants, you can make this season be jolly with Manscaped. Do your little drummer boy a favor. Use the Lawnmower 4.0 to avoid another silent night in the bedroom. And then add in Manscaped's top-of-the-line shower products, and you'll have the people thinking, all I want for Christmas is you. Santa cares about his big old sack. So should you. Look nice when it's time to get naughty. You get 20% off by going to manscaped.com/STW. The Manscaped Platinum Package 4.0 is the one-stop shop for the man who deserves it all. You got everything you need to deck the halls from face to balls. Just in time for mistletoe season. The Platinum Package has each product from the best-selling Performance Package plus Ultra Premium Body Wash, Ultra Premium 2-in-1 Shampoo and Conditioner, Ultra Premium Deodorant. By the way, this Lawnmower 4.0 Body Trimmer and the Weed Whacker Nose and Ear Hair Trimmer, both rocking proprietary advanced skin-safe technology. No nicks, no tugs. You're going to love it. Also waterproof, so there's no issue clearing the snow out of your driveway. There's also a 4000K LED light on this motherfucker. You can light the way up like Rudolph. You ever see your sack under a 4000K LED light? You're missing out. Now that you've grooved your candy cane, let's make sure you don't smell like a reindeer. Let's get some of these Platinum Package shower products. All of the shower gear is sulfate-free, vegan. Going to leave your skin feeling hydrated, smelling fresh. Smelling good doesn't stop at the shower. That's why we recommend the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and the Crop Reviver Ball Toner. The Platinum Package 4.0 sitting under the tree is guaranteed to put anyone in the holiday spirit. It's the perfect stocking stuffer, too. Talking about the brand new Body Buffer. That incredible body scrubber. Going to make exfoliation easy. A lot cleaner than that dirty-ass loofah in your shower, too. Seriously, if you've never gifted Manscaped, I can't recommend it enough. They are going to love it. They will talk about it. They will remember it. And they won't know that you got 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com/STW. You heard me. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com/STW. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to Something to Wrestle with Bruce Prichard. Bruce, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm full. How are you?
You're full. You're full of what?
Full.
What are you full of?
Turkey and strawberry rhubarb pie.
I gotta Google that. Strawberry.
You have never had strawberry rhubarb pie?
I never even heard of it until just now.
You gotta be kidding me.
No, I'm looking it up right now.
It's excellent.
No, I never had this.
Yeah, it's tremendous, man. It's like really, really good.
Now,
Little turkey, little ham, little dressing, little mashed taters, some green peas. I had the green bean casserole gimmick, and Kane had his little cream corn bullshit, and quite a bit of Insignia wine.
Help me
Robert
understand.
Phelps Insignia, 2016.
You do turkey and ham?
Yeah, had a lot of people.
Okay, who all was yesterday, past tense, at the Prichard family Thanksgiving?
I can't betray confidences. It was a lot of people.
Okay, so it wasn't just.
Yeah.
It might be some names we would recognize.
No, you wouldn't. Vinny and Amber. And,
I know them. I know them.
Yeah. Okay. And Vinny's mom and dad, Big Lou, and
Oh,
Lou.
okay.
Yeah.
Got it. All right.
Yeah. Charlie and Kane. Charlie's
Okay.
female.
I'm not judging. Kane can do what he wants to do.
Yeah.
He's a grown man.
Yeah. And Charlie's really cute, really nice.
All right.
Yeah.
What about
Wally and Rowdy were there, picking
Well,
up scraps on the floor.
jumping like Dave Silva? You know,
Yeah.
This is my impression. If you're watching with us on YouTube,
Did Dave Silva have Thanksgiving with you?
no, We didn't discuss it this year. I just assumed he had his family coming in or whatever. I don't know.
I do have a question. Okay, so this is a serious question.
You didn't even laugh at my joke about how short Dave Silva is. This could be Rowdy jumping for scraps, or it could be him trying to look over the countertop and see what the wife's cooking.
Either way, yeah. Well,
yeah, same thing.
See, because it's just real to me. It's not like it's a joke or anything. It's just real. So it's not, it is what it is. But okay, so is Silva on? Can he speak to us? We don't need to see him. God, we don't need to see him.
Yes, I can speak to you.
Okay. Is Thanksgiving or Christmas the tamale Thanksgiving?
We do it both. We do it both in the Silva house.
Okay.
We get tamales.
Could you please send some to me? See, Christmas time, I think we always did tamales at Christmas time. That's like another Southern thing in Texas. Did you do tamales at the Conrad Addison?
No. Now, I have had some that he sent me before.
For the holidays.
Yeah, we did that one year for sure.
Okay, that's a good thing. Cheers.
Is there a particular type you'd like? Because we have
Jesus, you speak when spoken to, Silva. You don't just interrupt us when we're having a discussion.
I'm out.
I thought we had a deal, Bruce. We don't do guests, and now you just had a run-in, an unwanted intruder.
I just needed an answer to a question. Otherwise, I would have texted him. But I figured it was faster this way and just kind of do it that way. I redecorated both my offices. Everything finally done. Got all the pictures up off the floor and everything.
Has your room always been blue?
No.
Okay, because I see the blue behind you, and I was like, I don't remember it being blue.
Yeah. Everything got redone and all that good stuff. And
is all your remodeling at the house done now, or you still got a little more?
Done.
How happy are you to be done?
Oh my God. So sick of being in my house. Painting, pounding, drilling. Oh God. Yeah, I'm done.
Well, speaking of pounding and drilling, wait, it's not time for a BlueChew spot yet.
Happy holidays, everybody. This is Jason Sensation, and I had the utmost pleasure of sitting down with Top Guy members to tell my story of being the greatest wrestling impersonator of all time. The best there is, the best there was, and the best ever will be. Check it out on ad-free shows right now.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. Andre the Giant, you think you're gonna end Hulkamania, man? Well, Hulkamania's gonna run wild on you, man. And what you gonna do, brother, when Hulkamania and all the powers of Hulkamania run wild on you, brother?
You, Elizabeth, you. And I started to do his impression to him, and he flipped out on me. He lost it.
Man, hey, man, come here. Let me hear a couple of those voices. Damn, like he's Stone Cold. Oh, man, that's damn good.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you very much. Yes, Triple H, yes, I love it. SmackDown, yes.
You get out of the washroom now. You combing your hair like you're Lex Luger? Look at you, pretty boy. You think you're Luger? Come on.
That was so much fun. I had a blast. I love ad-free shows. And if you want to watch the entire episode on demand, you can check it out on adfreeshows.com, along with so many of my favorites.
Let's talk about Survivor Series 1992. That's our topic today. Hope everybody had a fantastic Thanksgiving yesterday. Before we jump into today's topic, Jason Sensation threw us a little note talking about our last episode on Elizabeth. Great show, emotional at times. Conrad had me LMAO. Prichard needs to work on his Hogan impression, but I can't touch his Dusty. Forever the first lady of wrestling in my heart, Elizabeth. I like that he gave you props for your Dusty, but what do you think? You think your Hogan needs a little work?
I don't claim to do Hogan.
Oh, okay. Do you claim to do Dusty? I think everybody agrees you got the best Dusty around.
I do.
Yeah.
I got the best Savage and Dusty. Actually, no. Dan Soder does a better Savage.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I'm anxious to talk.
Go ahead.
Oh, you got something?
No.
You're going to tease me and just do it at the end? Is that what the plan is?
I don't know. Who knows?
So as we're talking
The
today,
holidays.
it is the exact 30-year anniversary of Survivor Series 92. And this, of course, is a big show for you. I believe this is your first pay-per-view back after maybe a hiatus, a vacation.
Yes, it was. As a matter of fact.
So let's jump into it. You leave in the spring of 91.
Okay.
And man, the company looks a little different.
Was it the spring or the summer? It was in May, late May.
I mean, do you call that?
That's summer.
Okay, now we're going to have to go to Google. Let's go to the Google machine. When does summer officially start?
Well, if you're going to do that, but I can go by like
June 21st. Okay, so you feel like May is summer.
Yeah.
I feel like June is summer.
Okay.
So you started back in Sprummer. You came back in Sprummer, or you left in Sprummer of 91. A bunch of new faces come into the company while you're gone. We got Ric Flair, we got Razor Ramon, we got Yokozuna, we got the Head Shrinkers, we got the Beverly Brothers. Kamala's back, and who could forget Nailz? Well, I know we all tried.
Well, I mean, Flair was there when I was leaving. Razor came in. Yokozuna was not there yet when I came
Flair
back.
was not there when you were leaving.
Yeah, was.
He didn't start until
no, but we had already started our stuff and done everything, and I would go sit with Rick at the Sheraton and drink adult beverages.
Okay.
So, and Yoko was not there because I'd gone and seen Tom and saw Rodney and wanted to bring him in as Coquina. So he wasn't there yet when I came back. Head Shrinkers, I don't think they were back yet. Beverly Brothers were, and Kamala and Nailz. Yeah, okay.
The point is, while you're on sabbatical, we'll call it, you spend a little time with the Global, which we've done a whole episode about in our archives. And I believe as the story goes, you were offered an opportunity to come work and manage over on the WCW side of things. If I remember right, you were going to come in and try to manage the Barbarian on the WCW side, or that's what was presented. Is that right?
Correctamundo. With the carrot dangled that I would eventually manage old stunning Hollywood Steve Austin.
So the idea would be you maybe don't start with a stable, but you start with Barb, who at the time is probably, getting ready to be challenging Ron Simmons and whatnot. And then eventually maybe it becomes Stunning Steve. Now let's talk about another idea that you've thrown out before. I'm just trying to get my timeline right. Once upon a time, it was discussed somewhere, somehow, you might actually assume the role Bobby Heenan Jr.
Yeah, that was during the time when Flair came in. Okay, Bobby managed him, but Bobby had already kind of retired from being on the road,
right?
And they needed somebody with Rick all the time. So Bobby had gone out, and Rick was killing him. Bobby just couldn't drink like that anymore. So Bobby was looking to come off the road. And threw out the idea, hey, what if you came in and managed Rick? So we came up with the idea, because people would always say when Bobby and I were together, oh, is that your son? And I would always call Bobby dad, and he would always call me son. I called Cindy mom, and Jess would be sis, his daughter. And so I was like, oh my God, that'd be perfect. I'd do Clairol number 1, do my hair, and be Bobby Jr.
Didn't happen, of course.
Happen. Did not happen. For a while, it was kind of like it. We thought it was going to happen, but then last minute, it didn't. And they had Perfect there too. That was a pretty good fit.
Part of the package, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about SummerSlam 92. I believe the story is once you make an agreement to return to the company, the decision is made, hey, just start with us after SummerSlam 92, and then you would have been at the first TV taping after. Do I have that timeline right?
Well, that's correct. Yeah, when Vince called me about coming back, he was leaving for the UK the next day. So it's like, there was just way too soon for me to go out there and do that. So I was going to be starting in Hershey, Pennsylvania, the first TV back after the SummerSlam.
And that's a pretty memorable show because that's where Ric Flair defeats Randy Savage to become a 2-time WWF champion. And I think if memory serves, this might be, a rather regrettable night for both Flair and Savage. They weren't allegedly doing the type of match that Vince wanted him to do. Is that the way you remember it?
Yeah, it stunk.
Talk to us about that night.
Nah, the idea, this was the opportunity to make Rick, and for Rick to kind of, overcome. And they went out and had a house show match. That was not good. It wasn't a television match. There was no intensity to it. There was, it was Savage had no fire after the fact. And Rick was, they were both going through the motions, doing the thing. And there was just feeling that it was not, it wasn't intense enough.
So Vince has them go out and do it again in front of the same crowd, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we went out and just had them redo parts of it and spice some things up.
Meltzer would say the match where the title was supposed to change hand turned into a abortive contest in 12 minutes in because Vince McMahon was unhappy with what was going on. So he sent Bobby Heenan out, who signaled to the referee Earl Hebner, and everyone went to the dressing room, and the ring announcer Howard Finkel announced the match will resume as soon as the referee regains control. After several more squash matches take place, Flair and Savage get back in the ring and do a 25-minute match with Savage selling the knee a lot more and Mr. Perfect now freely interfering. Razor Ramon comes to ringside, gives Savage a hard kick to the knee before walking to the back dressing room. Flair puts the figure 4 on. Savage holds out for 2 minutes. Then there's a 3 count. After the match, Ramon attacks Savage's knee, and Warrior has to help Savage to the back. So, listen, it's regrettable, I'm sure, and probably embarrassing to 2 of your top talent and for your world title to have sort of a do-over. Do you remember Randy or Flair being particularly frustrated with this, or was everybody pretty cool about it?
No, they were pissed. They didn't think there was anything wrong with the match. And
right.
Obviously, someone else did, so went out and redid it.
Do you think
that was also where Randy went crazy, and we went out to try and hold Randy back, and I got nailed by Randy. Took a hell of a bump too. Quite the cheer backstage when I got nailed.
Talk to me about Flair and the experiment here. I mean, I know you missed most of the run, but it feels like we're winding it down here. And for his big triumphant second win of the world title here, instead of it being a big celebration, it's kind of a do-over. Do you think the bloom was off the rose for Vince with Rick and he was maybe ready for a different presentation on top?
I think the bloom was off the rose for Rick at that time. I don't think Rick was feeling good. That was during a time that Rick was experiencing vertigo.
Yep.
And Rick wasn't in the best shape. And I think Rick was, a victim of confidence issues as well. But I just think that more than anything, it was a combination of everything.
So the match airs a couple of weeks later on Primetime Wrestling. And at the time, Primetime is really suffering in the ratings. And this is the first, I believe, title change to ever air on cable only after this original USA deal was struck. So it's a pretty big deal. I mean, normally when you see a title switch hands like this, it's either Saturday night's main event or it's a pay-per-view or something like that. But for it to be a cable title switch, that's a pretty big deal at the time, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, it was. We were looking at Primetime. Primetime had turned into I'll call it a guest show, because they would just bring in talent and different talent every week to kind of sit around a table and do ins and outs around different matches. And the format had gone from Bobby and Gorilla to this kind of round table format, if you will, that didn't click. It just really didn't click. And we were looking for different things. Obviously I had nothing to do with it beforehand, but once I got there and was like, everybody's, what do you think of this? And it wasn't good. It just wasn't good. It was a compilation show with a compilation panel. There was no consistency to the show at all, other than I think Vince and Bobby. But we were looking for ways to save money. We were looking for a different presentation of the show, which is where the germ of Raw came from.
That's what I was hoping you were going to say, because once upon a time, these, we didn't normally see big moments like this. And now this feels like, hey, if this is going to be part of the presentation moving forward, well, ta-da, this is going to lead us to Monday Night Raw. Let's discuss, where the ratings are. This, it feels like a big deal. You've got a historic world title changing hands, two of the biggest names, maybe two of the biggest 5 names in wrestling at that point. Assuming there's Hogan's and Sting's and somebody else in there. But the show only gets a 2.4 rating. Is this around the time when you guys start to realize, hey man, something's got to change? Because after the first of the year, it is going to be Monday Night Raw. Did you always have that plan in mind, or is it born out of trying to struggle in square peg round hole prime times ratings?
No, it was more of a cost cutting measure. It was looking at ways to produce this show without doing it on the road, and look at delivering a product that was unique and that was different. One thing that would make it unique and different was going live.
Right.
The other part is that we wanted to do it in a unique setting, a smaller, more intimate setting than the big arenas. The original concept was to build a studio where our current television studio was, and in the warehouse section of that, make that into an arena that would hold maybe 500 to 1,000 people, and build the studio with all the perfect lighting and everything that we needed right there. Bring the tour through the Northeast, which is where we were focusing at the time, and that would save money because it's another stop on the tour every week. Going to the Manhattan Center certainly didn't accomplish that, because the Manhattan Center was extremely expensive and a tough proposition, because you had to take the ring up 7 floors on an elevator, a passenger elevator at that. And it was tough. It was tough, but the whole idea was we needed a different presentation. We needed something else. Hadn't had a live presentation, and syndication at that time was just, syndication was starting kind of to die, and syndication wasn't something that was as profitable as it had been in the past. And that's probably not true either, but it wasn't what it was 2 years before.
I can't wait for us to talk about Monday Night Raw. We're going to be coming up on the 30-year anniversary this coming January. I just had the great pleasure of hanging out with David Sahadi this past weekend, and he told me a story about the Raw Open. I can't wait for us to discuss here on the show. But right now, and I know we've got rules on the program, I know we don't talk about current stuff, but what we do talk about every week is your ding dong, Bruce. Tell us about it. Not that wiener, Bruce. Come on, we want to hear about it.
Well,
is it hard?
As you know, sometimes it's a little difficult for you to get it rigid. Well, maybe can help you there.
BlueChew can help. We're talking rigidity. We're talking turgid. Hard. I'm talking about hard. BlueChew is a unique online service. Easy for me to say service. You're going to be servicing something. This delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable form and a fraction of the cost. Take them anytime, Bruce, day or night. Plan ahead. Be ready whenever an opportunity arises. Mick Foley and I think of it as like a hot tag for your wiener. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com. Consult with one of their licensed medical providers. Once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription in a couple days. That's it. The best part? All done online. No visits to the doctor's office. No awkward conversation. No waiting in line at the pharmacy. It's good old-fashioned hard American wiener meat, son. BlueChew's tablets are made in the USA, prepared and shipped directly to your door, all in a discreet package. It'll be so hard, even a cat couldn't scratch it. If you could benefit from extra confidence when it's time to perform, chew it and do it, y'all. Let's have some better sex. Won't you join me? Got a special deal for our listeners. Try BlueChew free when you use our promo code WRESTLE at checkout. Pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com. The promo code is WRESTLE, and you'll receive your very first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. We thank BlueChew for sponsoring the podcast and Bruce's sweet Peter meat. That's a good jam right there, Bruce. I like us watching on YouTube. We saw your suspect face. Like he wasn't so sure about BlueChew, but we know you're sure. Gets you real hard every week, don't it, Bruce?
You gotta love this BlueChew.
I love it.
I know.
So this show in Hershey, these TV tapings that maybe don't get the ratings we're hoping for. It feels like it's going to be a shot in the arm. We're going to turn business around. Okay, it doesn't really work, but Ric Flair has the world title, and we kind of see the formation of the Ultimate Maniacs here. Macho's going to show off his knee pad with the Ultimate Maniacs logo. He's going to bring out the Warrior, and it almost feels like he's passing the torch along for Warrior by saying he's coming for Ric Flair. And he's giving him a pair of Ultimate Maniac shades. And Vince is putting over on commentary that Warrior will see his ultimate destiny and become the Ultimate World Wrestling Federation champion. We would even start to see Flair working some house show matches with the Ultimate Warrior. Was that the original plan? I know. He talked about these were some tough matches, but do you think that was the original plan, that Warrior was going to get the belt off of Flair?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay.
You know, coming in, and that wasn't something I ever remember talking about. We really didn't get into talking about taking the title off Rick until Rick started having his health issues.
Which we know is going to happen shortly. Also at this Hershey taping, a fella named Coquina has a tryout match, defeating a young man by the name of Ron Neal. Did you see Money right away in the future Yokozuna?
I saw Money in Coquina Maximus in Alabama the first time I saw him. He was probably 325 pounds, moved like a lightweight, absolutely amazing agility, and one hell of a worker. And had talked about, this guy coming up before, and he came up and nobody really saw much in him other than, he's another big Samoan. Of course, they can work. They can all work. They're all incredible athletes. But there wasn't anything that stood out that was really unique. And it was Sergeant Slaughter who actually came up with the idea, what if you made him a sumo? And the rest, as I say, is history.
Let's talk about the Head Shrinkers. They were originally billed on TV as just the Samoans, and they debuted recently, Alpha as their manager. And during commentary, Gorilla is going to speculate that there will be a third, much larger Samoan joining them in the future, but it's never really followed up on. So Coquina becomes Yokozuna instead. But it does sound like the original plans were maybe a three-man Samoan team here.
Yeah, the original plans were to have Coquina come in and be another member of the Head Shrinkers. Just there was a lot more money in him, obviously, as a single in Yokozuna.
This Hershey taping is a big deal. As a reminder, we got Ric Flair winning the world title. They do a do-over. It goes on to try to see what we can do about these primetime ratings. Not much. We also see the debut of Yokozuna and another debut, someone who we think is going to be called Comet Kid. Of course, we know it's later going to be Max Moon. Paul Diamond, I believe, is the guy under the costume here, but I think Conan is the guy who was originally outfit with this persona and gimmick. And I think Conan has said it was kind of his idea. And one of the ideas was he would fly to the ring on like a jetpack and thought that would really get over with kids. But ultimately, traveling around with these boxes, working for WWE in this era for that level of money, or going back and being a Mexican soap opera star, maybe that made more sense. Is that the way you remember it, that Conan wasn't long for this world once he actually got up and going?
Yeah, I only at that point had only met Conan one time. I believe. Wow. Before I left, and then somewhere in Texas at one point when they were trying to develop this gimmick for him. But it was expensive, and I think that Conan wasn't really ready to make that move yet. I don't think Antonio Pena either was ready to lose Conan with AAA.
It is fascinating to think about what if. I mean, I could totally visualize the way it might look to have a guy fly to the ring on a jetpack, man, little kids would eat that up, would they not?
Yeah, there's just, one little problem is finding a jetpack that you could actually do that. The cost of said jetpack, if you could actually find one that could actually do that, and trying to fly over people is not something that is ideal as well. So you got a few liability issues there. Great concept. Hey, what if you guys could just do this, do that, and then liability comes into question, and reality checks come into question, and well, can they actually do that? Well, no, but it'd be really cool if they could. Why didn't you think of that?
Right.
Okay. So you want to do a $100,000 ring entrance every time someone comes to the ring? Not realistic.
So the first show at Madison Square Garden in several months is September 11th. We draw 9,000 fans here, and that's 160 grand. And Meltzer would say, while there were a lot of long faces in this day and age, that gate figure can't be considered a negative. The card wasn't taped for MSG cable, and the deal of the MSG house shows being put on local cable has been dropped. That was something that happened for a long time. A lot of our listeners in the Northeast really, really love that. But it comes to an end here. Is this just based on viewership or the finances, or why would the MSG network deal come to an end?
Well, I think that there was a definite effect with live events when you can sit home, if you have MSG network, and watch it for free, or you get out of your house and you can go to Madison Square Garden and buy a ticket and watch it live. I mean, both of them are live because it did broadcast live. And I think that was definitely something that hurt the gate.
Well, let's talk about some news that is going to get you tickled. This is directly from the Observer. Bruce Prichard was rehired by Titan to work as J.J. Dillon's office assistant. He won't do any work on the television side, where there was enormous heat on him, which resulted in his being fired last year. Now, we did a whole episode about the time he got fired or sent home or vacation or sabbatical or whatever you want to call it.
I was fired.
And you've acknowledged it was because you were kind of being a dick. And maybe you were a little immature at the time. You were still a young whippersnapper. I don't think a lot of people really process how young you were, but still in your 20s, and maybe you'd rub some people the wrong way. And I think we even talked about when you come back into the company here on the program, you've told us there was a deal where it's like, okay, we can't just force you on all the TV people right away. We're going to just ease you back in. But I've never heard you say, and I've never even read it until I read this in the Observer, J.J. Dillon's office assistants. What's up with that?
Yeah, that's just 100% completely made up and false.
Okay.
I was brought back to do television. Okay. Do television. Did I have heat with folks at the television studio? Yes, I did. And when Vince had called me to come back, I was told that I would be working directly and reporting directly to Vince. And I would work with Vince and Pat. I would not even have an office at Titan Towers. So I wouldn't even have to come into the office at all. I was under JJ's umbrella in talent relations. I guess it was called talent relations at the time. But my direct report was Vince McMahon. Vince gave me my reviews. Vince is a guy that I worked with on a daily basis. And Pat. If anything, Pat and I told JJ what to do, so there was I was not JJ's assistant, going and sharpening his pencils or anything. Like Dusty Rhodes told me one time when he came back and JJ had told Dusty what to do. And he goes, here, you got a little JJ Dillon over here. JJ Dillon used to take my pencil. Where's my pencil at, Conrad? Where's my pen? Hang on, wait. Oh, shit. I got a whole box of pencils right here. I said, JJ, look at this. I've been over here. I've been creating. I've been geniusing, making shit up here on my little pad. Look at that. He didn't have no pad that said that. And I'll be here, and I'll be geniusing. ING, genius in right here. And sometimes your sharp pencil, it will get dull because of all the ideas that I got put on my paper here. And I have to say, JJ, get in here. My pencil is dull. I need to sharpen. Here, take the whole box, baby. Make sure they're all the same pointiness and all that, if you will, baby. Because I need sharp pencils to genius properly, if you will. He should have known that. He should have known it's going to be dull standing right here. So, no, I was never J.J. Dillon's assistant.
Wait, hang on.
Once.
Are you sort of implying there that it's been said over the years that JJ was like Dusty's booking assistant, but it sounds like you're making it out as if Dusty felt like he was more of his step and fetch it.
If you were to ask Dusty, I think Dusty would say that. And look, man, I got to tell you something. As far as talent relations and in that role that JJ was in, I think that JJ was absolutely excellent in that role because he was detail oriented. He had a great rapport with people in the office and was damn good in that role. So I will not sit here and say that JJ Dillon was not good at his role in talent relations when he worked with us. I thought he was very, very good. I was just never his assistant, and Dusty used to rip on him about sharpening his pencils to me, but I don't want that to be misconstrued.
Well, Dusty also, Dusty acknowledged that he always said, right, like never let the truth get in the way of a good story. He was trying to just get
he had a dull pencil, baby. I needed sharpening. Do that. And sometimes it ain't like I'm gonna sharpen it because you gotta put the thing in there, it gets all twisted up. But JJ could put it in there all nice and smooth. It's just like have some BlueChew and be like the right temperature and boom in there and get nice and sharp and all that stuff. Sometimes I tell myself, use the handheld one, get that extra sharpener on there. But JJ was really good at what he did and excellent as far as dealing with all the other departments and things of that nature. So, but no, I was not his assistant. And yes, I came back to do TV specifically.
Well, let's talk about the next set of TV tapings. It's in Winnipeg.
How does this guy even going back then, he just lies and makes shit up and people accept it as fact because he has this little anything. He just writes anything he wants down or anything he hears from the janitor or something.
I think he just writes the facts.
Well, see, that's the difference. See, you think, okay, but I know. That's the big difference.
Well done.
Because I was there. You're talking about me. You think
done.
That's the problem with Meltzer. He thinks. He doesn't understand. He doesn't actually know. He hears little things, or he'll surmise. Oh, well, they're bringing Bruce Prichard back. Must be to do this. I already had a lot. He's not going to go to TV. Not going to have anything to do with TV. He's just going to sharpen J.J. Dillon's pencils. No, none of that is factual at all. So, go ahead. We'll uncover more of his lies.
Good. At the next tapings in Winnipeg, September 21st, we're really starting to build towards these main Survivor Series matches. We got the Ultimate Maniacs taking on Flair and Razor. These are the two announced teams, and they're doing interviews back and forth. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of little Ultimate Maniac promos that we've had fun with over the years. The presentation, though, what'd you think? Ultimate Maniacs.
Well, that's what they were. It was the Ultimate Warrior and the Macho Maniac,
Well, we're just seeing, obviously this is a variation of the Mega Powers. Once upon a time, our top star is Hulk Hogan. We're going to team him with Randy Savage. Now we're going to try it again, the Ultimate Warrior version. It's obviously short-lived. We're taking a look at the video here on YouTube, and so we got some images there we can go off of and see what the presentation looks like. As far as Mega Powers and Ultimate Maniacs, you got a favorite of the two?
A favorite what?
A pairing.
Between the Ultimate Maniacs and the Mega Powers?
Yeah.
Oh my God, please.
Okay. That's
Mega
what I thought.
Powers.
How does Razor Ramon get this type of push? I mean, this is a huge opportunity for a relatively new character. What better way to get over a character as a top guy than let him brush up against the Ultimate Warrior, Randy Savage, Ric Flair? How was he lucky enough to get his number called here?
It was his time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I just think they had brought Razor in. He was a big guy with a lot of talent, great gimmick, and it was his time. You go back to even the territory days, but the old way that Vince McMahon, Vince's dad, Vincent J. McMahon, booked New York. He would do vignettes. He would bring guys in. They would get wins for 6 to 8 weeks. They'd go into the Garden with the champ. Then they'd go around the horn with the champ. Or first thing they'd do, sometimes they'd go around and they'd beat Strongbow. And then they'd come back with the champ. And then after they got done with the champ, they'd go back around and Strongbow would get his win back. Then they'd be, see you later, goodbye. That was the old formula. Now it was, you do vignettes, you bring a guy in, but if you bring a guy in on top, then he's a top guy.
Right.
It's up to them to, you know, then make it and be able to hold that top spot.
We did, we should mention that, we did this same introduction of sorts. The prior Survivor Series 91, The Undertaker becomes a made man working with Hulk Hogan for the world title. So fast forward a year later, the Survivor Series main event. Well, we're going to try to make Razor Ramon. Now, as you're seeing all of this develop while you're anxiously awaiting your return, before you come back at this Hershey taping, you're obviously watching the product, trying to get familiar, trying to make sure you know the ins and outs. Was there someone in particular you were excited to work with to come back and do creative for?
No. And I will say this. So I didn't expect to come back there. I had already made my peace with, I'm not going back. I'm going to go to WCW. I'm going to do something different. I watched WWE. I knew what was going on. However, I had also resigned myself to the fact that I'm not going back. They don't want me. I'm not going back, so I'll go do something else. I wasn't heavily invested in it at that time. So I was more invested in myself and what am I going to do and how am I going to make something different at WCW and how was I going to make my name. So coming back, yeah, I knew everything. The only person I really wanted to work with was Taker.
It's super cool to know that you're back in the mix at a time when the company is fixed to go through so many changes. The other match we're setting up is Kamala Undertaker in a rematch from SummerSlam. This time it's going to be at Survivor Series and the first ever coffin match. Are you involved in that creative?
I did all the vignettes for that. I've got Kamala's coffin, the blueprint for it downstairs in my basement.
Really?
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Paul Bearer is going to keep bringing a casket to the ring during Kamala's matches. Kamala's going to flee through the crowd in fear each time. Then we see all these vignettes of the Undertaker in his workshop building the casket or coffin or whatever you want to call it. Paul Bearer doing all these creepy promos. Essentially, Kamala is going to rest in peace. Where do you shoot these at?
God, somewhere in, I know we stayed in Newark, but I think it was somewhere in either Jersey or Pennsylvania, it was actually an old blacksmith's workshop. Then we had he had horses out there, the big, carriage and all this stuff. I don't even think we shot anything with that, but we actually had an old workshop where we were able to go in and take it over and do all of that stuff and have Undertaker, hammering and the shit flying everywhere. It was great. It was a hell of a day. And it was fun being back, and it was fun, much to Paul Bearer's chagrin, for Undertaker and I to kind of be back and tag team and rib Paul Bearer as the day went on.
Okay, so you guys are just buddies, and you know that you can get to the real life Bill Moody, so y'all have some fun.
Yeah, because he was tired.
I got you.
He was tired. Paul Bearer was a great driver and a hell of a wheelman. So he drove, and we just kind of ribbed him the whole time and just, tried to rattle his cage. And then when he tried to go to sleep in the car, we might have made it difficult.
We love the idea of a coffin match. It becomes a staple for the Undertaker. I mean, at this point, he had done body bag matches, but I think the first ever coffin match was in the WWF and with Dusty Rhodes, right? Back in the day.
It wasn't WWF. We did one in Houston.
Oh, okay.
With Ivan Koloff and Dusty.
Okay. Well,
and the best part about that was the Paul Bearers Union came to protest that we could not have a casket and that we could not carry someone out. And again, this is the biggest bullshit I'd ever heard in my life. Because you go to a funeral, you have Paul Bearers. It could be your brother, your son, whatever, and all this stuff, and they carry the casket out. Well, these guys are saying they were a Paul Bearers Union, that only they could carry caskets in Texas. Some kind of it was crazy, but they made a big stink. So when Ivan Koloff was put in the casket, he just destroyed it so that they had nothing to carry out. It was weird, but it was Dusty and Ivan Koloff because Ivan Koloff had a shovel and he was going to bury all Americans.
And that was back in 1980. And here we are now doing it for the WWF on pay-per-view with The Undertaker. Something about these coffin matches, man. You just can't quit them. They're going to follow you everywhere, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to love it.
Well, that lingering smell of smoke follows us around if we're smokers. I mean, here's the deal. A lot of adults choose to use nicotine. But Bruce, there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. And not everyone uses nicotine. But if you do, you'll want to listen up. Get ready. This is an ad for Lucy Breakers. If you're one of the millions of adults who do use nicotine, well, you know that not all the products are created the same. And there's one new product that we feel like stands above the rest. Lucy Breakers are the only nicotine pouch that gives you a blast of flavor from the first moment to the last. Each pouch contains a capsule that you can break open and release a rush of flavor that doesn't fade away like those other pouches. You know, the ones that rhyme with thin. Now, they come in so many flavors: mint, berry, citrus, mango, even espresso. And you don't have to go to the gas station or corner store to get them. Just order online and they'll be shipped straight to your door. Every order gets free shipping. Plus, if you subscribe, you'll save 15% and never run out. So whether you use nicotine while you're working, creating, or playing, Lucy Breakers are the intelligent choice. I've actually got a guy in the office using these. It's getting awful chilly down here in Alabama. Saw this poor guy running outside in the 26-degree weather trying to get his nicotine fix. Man, there's a better way. Lucy Breakers. We got a special deal for our listeners. Get $10 off your first order when you use our promo code WRESTLE at checkout. Shipping is always free. That's lucy.co. The promo code is WRESTLE to receive $10 off and free shipping. Visit lucy.co for more details. We thank Lucy for sponsoring the podcast. Now, here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. This product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. You get $10 off. Use our promo code WRESTLE at checkout. Shipping's always free. That's lucy.co. And the promo code is WRESTLE. So, Bruce, while we're at this taping, we're also going to set up the Undertaker's post-Survivor Series feud. Can't believe this is real. The epic Nailz confrontation. So Nailz has just beat up some poor dude named Scott Zappa. He's going to challenge the big boss man to come out.
Second cousin twice removed.
There you go.
Yeah.
Instead of boss man coming out, Undertaker comes out for his scheduled match, and those two come nose to nose. Is this something Vince was excited for? Two big guys like this, Taker and Nailz?
Yeah, I think it was a natural. And when you're looking for somebody that's going to be the counter to the Undertaker, you need a big, mean, nasty son of a gun, and Nailz fit that bill perfectly.
Sergeant Slaughter then comes out and is able to get the two separated. Sarge is appearing in a troubleshooting WWF official role and was trying to phase out as a wrestler. Was this an easy transition for Sarge to be in a backstage capacity and an on-camera official or whatever instead of being one of the boys in the ring?
Yeah, I think so. I think that, you know, Sarge was ready to get out of the ring on a day-to-day basis. So this was a easy transition. We were also looking to use Sarge in the office as well and make that transition to having him full-time behind the scenes.
Matt Bourne is going to get a couple tryout matches. By the time the next taping starts, he'll be appearing as a unnamed clown in the crowd. And it's kind of fun to go back and see those bits on TV. I recently just watched an early episode of Superstars, and I saw him in the crowd just be briefly acknowledged, like, "Hey, look, there's a clown in the crowd. Oh my! Never know what's going to happen in the World Wrestling Federation or whatever." But he's not a traditional character introduction. We're not saying his name. I kind of dig that. Did you know right away that Matt Bourne was going to nail this role?
I mean, it wasn't really a role. It was just Matt with
Paint on.
Yeah, and a wig. It was, if there was ever a perfect gimmick for someone, this was it for Matt Bourne, because he embodied it. He was the perfect evil clown, and he legitimately hated going out there and having to entertain the kids. He hated that. So you had that really miserable, nasty clown. And at one point, we used to have the agents all had radios, handheld radios, and that's how they communicate. And Rene Goulet would be the one that would take Doink out and put him in the crowd and put him in these different places. And at one point, you've got Rene on the radio, and he's French Canadian, and the kids had gotten around Doink, and he was on the stairs going up, up and down in the seats, and they tripped Doink, and Doink had fallen. And all you hear on the radio from Rene Goulet is, "The clown is down! The clown is down! Hey, the clown is down!" And Matt had fallen down, and that became our call for Rene Goulet from that point on. "The clown is down!" But he got back up. It was okay.
We also see the return.
Okay, got up. It's all right. Clown got up. Didn't hear that, but I know we did.
We see the return of your boy, Terry Taylor, or maybe we should say terrific Terry Taylor. I bet you were still pulling for the red fucking rooster, weren't you?
Yeah, I didn't care.
We start to see vignettes on TV to promote the return of Bob Backlund after 8 years away from the WWF. They show clips of his old amateur days, his previous run in the WWF. And Bob says, quote, "Being himself would be enough to stand out in the current WWF." Boy, there's a lot of new talent here. Some of it is just talent we've seen before, but maybe with a fresh paint of coat. Are we just trying to find the pieces that work, or is this the era where Vince is looking for his next hit here in the fall of '92?
I think, it was just an opportunity to bring in new talent. It's funny. Bob lives in Glastonbury, Connecticut. I didn't know Bob. This was the first time I met Bob. And went up, met with him in Glastonbury, and we actually shot those vignettes at Bob's house in his gym in his basement. But it was, how like somebody you meet for the first time and it's like you've known him your whole life? That was Bob Backlund. And I just always have a special place for Bob, because it's just what you see is what you get. He's a genuine person, and I really wanted to see him succeed. Yeah, he has idiosyncrasies. but a great guy. And when you got to know him, when you got to sit down and be around him, and at first you think he's just this straight-laced guy, but then it's like, hey, let's go have a beer. And he liked to have a beer. He liked to have a good time. And just we were looking for something. And the funny thing is that in the back of our mind, I think all of us were thinking, we got a hell of a heel on our hands here. And kind of what we did with Kurt Angle later on, I think, is what we were trying to do with Bob at this point. Took a while.
The European tour that pops off here, it's going to end on Saturday night, October 3rd. Appears to be a big success. Meltzer would say the show's grossed over $2.5 million. The tour's mainly in Germany, 2 shows in England, and it's basically your standard house show. But boy, they're ready for it across the pond. Do you go on tours like this, or are you simply staying back?
No, I'm staying back.
Yeah,
stateside, keep feet on the ground.
Meltzer would say that this may have been a test of trying out the old time wrestling on an audience that was used to seeing a new product. Instead of, Meltzer would say every match on the tour ends in a pinfall. And instead of being in the match before intermission, the main event was put on last with Flair on top. They worked an old style match that lasted 23 to 36 minutes, depending on what show you went to. And it would be clean victories over either Bret Hart or Randy Savage almost every night. And Meltzer is saying he got reports that the matches were said to be excellent. Once upon a time, the standard was we put the main event on before intermission because we're going to put tickets on sale for the return during intermission, right, Bruce?
Well, that was if we had a return.
Yeah.
And that was if you were coming back with something off the main event, you would put it on. Otherwise, you'd normally put it on later in the show. But when you were doing something where you were working a return in your main event, you wanted to do it before intermission so that people could have an opportunity to purchase tickets for the next event.
As a reminder, Demolition is no more by this era, and Hawk sort of flew the coop at SummerSlam 92. But while we're over here in Europe, we put together Animal and Crush, and we call them the Legion of Doom. They're over big, they get big reactions, and it feels as if, according to Meltzer, the fans are accepting Crush as a new member. Was this just a one-off? I mean, I know we're going to be finally covering the Road Warriors next week, but this is interesting and something I didn't know about until I did research for this, that you guys at least tried Animal and Crush together.
You know, it's funny that, again, this is another fine example of really lazy reporting and just someone reporting things that they know nothing about, but trying to put pieces together and make something. There was a point way back when the Freebirds came to WWE, and they didn't last long. But there was a point where either Buddy wasn't there, Buddy and Bam Bam both weren't there, but Pat Patterson had to substitute on a couple of house shows, and I think Michael and Pat teamed together or something like that. And Meltzer reported in his dirt sheet that they were adding Pat Patterson as a Freebird, and that they were going to have the new Freebirds of Pat Patterson and Michael Hayes, which was just complete horseshit. And he came up with this fabricated story because Pat had substituted for the missing Freebird because Pat was an agent, had his gear, and okay, this guy didn't show up, Pat will go in and work. That's all it was. And then came up with the story. Well, Michael Hayes doesn't want Pat Patterson to be a Freebird, so the Freebirds left. 100% complete horseshit. Just like this. You didn't have Hawk. Hawk wasn't available. You needed a team. You have Crush fill in. Maybe they called them Legion of Doom, but there was never any plan to make them the new Legion of Doom and have Crush to go in that place. At this point, they were kind of looking, because the Demolition thing was over and, what are we going to do with Crush and so on and so forth. It was a substitution. That's all it was. There was no master plan. Oh my God, we're going to try this. No. Sometimes it's just what it is. It's just a substitution.
Well, there's no substitution for Jeff Jarrett. He debuts, works all the house shows. Meltzer would say most fans had no idea who he was, and he didn't get over well since fans didn't know him, and he didn't have the size fans are accustomed to seeing or the spectacular moves to impress upon them at his initial viewing. There were lots of boring chants in many of the cities where he had matches with Mike Sharp and Barry Horowitz. That is kind of tough to start wrestling cold. They don't really know the character. They're not exactly sure how to respond. And he doesn't necessarily look like the Ultimate Warrior or Road Warrior Hawk or something like that. Do you remember these early matches for Jeff Jarrett as you're trying to figure out where he'll fit in?
Yeah, it was just get him on the card and let's see how he does. And let's try and figure out something for him. He wasn't on TV. It was no different than having a local guy on your card from time to time. So, yeah, there was no gimmick. There was nothing. It was just, we're going to bring this kid in and let's see what he's got and let's try and figure out a gimmick for him.
Let's remind everybody that these Hershey tapings happened in September, the ones where all the debuts and the title switches are and what have you. The house show matches since, it's been pretty much consistently Flair and Warrior. And just a few days before the next set of TV tapings, Flair gets hurt in a match with the Ultimate Warrior and is really suffering from vertigo and doesn't think he's going to be able to do these matches. So quickly, we pivot. And in a Coliseum home video taping, where we're also doing TV tapings in Saskatoon, we're going to go ahead and have Rick drop the belt to Bret Hart. Bret Hart becomes the champ for the very first time. They go roughly 25 minutes in Saskatoon on October 12th. Meltzer would say it was done much like WCW booking on the fly chaos, but I don't think he understood at the time. This wasn't a reaction more than just, hey, we're trying to keep the train on the tracks. If Flair can't wrestle, we got to do something. You would have liked to have seen maybe a little more pomp and circumstance for a world title win by Bret. And Rick is disappointed he wasn't able to give Bret the type of match he really could have done. But if you got vertigo, I guess it kind of is what it is. But hey, at least it's in Canada. Bret's the man. You're fresh off that European tour. And a lot of people think that while they were on that European tour, there were already discussions about who could the next guy be. Allegedly, Bruce, Tito Santana was considered as well. Do you remember that?
Yeah, there were a few guys that were considered. And, you know, we talked about Santana. We talked about Bret. We talked about DiBiase. There were a few different people that were considered. Do you go back to Savage? Do you go to Warrior? You know, what do you do here? And we were looking for a different presentation. And Hogan had left. So let's move in a different direction. Let's try something else. And came down to pretty much Bret Hart, because Bret had received incredible reactions internationally. Business was good internationally. So let's build on that. Let's build on the guy, because a lot of times that international audience would see things that they wouldn't get in the States. We could try things out over there. What's working? What are they buying? And if they're buying it there, will they buy it here? So decided, you know, it would be Bret. Let's give it a shot.
I'm curious, because since Flair had been working with Warrior, for you not to just drop the belt and put it on Warrior here, it does feel as if perhaps you guys didn't think Warrior was maybe as comfortable here. We know what's going to happen ultimately.
It wasn't that at all. It was not that at all. We'd been there and done that with Warrior. We wanted something new.
Okay.
Whatever we were going to do, we wanted to do something new and something unexpected.
So it wasn't a fool me once, fool me twice type thing where we just don't think he's reliable necessarily.
No, it was an attraction on his own. He didn't need the belt, and we wanted to try something else.
Did you think Bret was ready?
He was as ready as he was going to get. I think he was, let me put it this way, Bret was as ready as anybody else.
Okay. I know sometimes we've said on the show, or it's said in wrestling, does the guy make the belt or does the belt make the guy? Were you kind of hoping that maybe what he wasn't yet? I mean, what he was to most wrestling fans at that point was one of the best wrestlers in the company, a fantastic tag team champion, one of the best intercontinental champions possible. Maybe if they didn't see him as the world champion yet, as you always say, Vince used to say, they'll believe it when they see it, right?
Exactly. So it was an attempt to look. We're going to make Bret, and we're going to try something else. So let's try it.
It's interesting to think about how the company is shifting its approach a little bit. This title switch never airs on television, not even the finish. Instead, they just show a brief clip of Bret celebrating with the belt and his post-match interview with Mean Gene. It was taped for home video release, but the tape it was shown on, Smack 'em Whack 'em, wasn't even released until April of 93. And really going back to several years at this point, the title had always changed hands on pay-per-view. I think that's the last time it happened was like 88 when they did Andre's win over Hogan on the main event. But now we did it on a TV taping for Flair, and we're doing it on a home video release. We're trying some new things here, are we not?
Absolutely. And, just trying to shake things up and be a little unpredictable and have people pay more attention.
Meltzer would say this: Warrior made all of his regularly scheduled weekend dates and was in Saskatoon Monday night for the first of the 2 nights of TV tapings. Ironically, there's an awful lot of people who didn't expect him there, since word was out that the Flair Warrior house show program was going to be canceled in favor of a Flair Hart program, which is definitely the case. As of Tuesday, Warrior had not been officially pulled from any house show cards, although the previous afternoon there was talk of several Flair Warrior dates in November now becoming Flair Hart. At the same time, WWF officials scheduled a meeting with Hulk Hogan to attempt to arrange his return. The meeting was scheduled for later in the week, after company president Vince McMahon gets back from Canada from the tapings, whether Hogan being asked to return as soon as possible, which just 2 weeks ago appeared to have no chance of happening until the spring, is due to a possible problem with the Warrior or simply because business is in the condition it is, well, that can only be speculated on. While there have been many demands made by Warrior, whether they're for more money or fewer dates, the only thing we've been able to confirm is that Warrior was upset about the finish being given to him at one of the weekend house shows for a match with Flair. So this maybe is just speculation, but it's written that maybe he didn't like one of the finishes on a house show. Do you believe that could be possible, or is maybe Dave just grasping at straws?
That I really have no idea on. I don't know.
Do you recall there being an interest in, we got to try to see if we can convince Hulk to come back? Was that something you're privy to?
Well, we were talking to Hulk. Yes, we were looking to bring Hulk back.
What was his hesitation?
Who was he going to work with?
Okay.
And I think that was during the time that we pitched Dustin Rhodes, and that we wanted to bring Dustin in and do something with him. And that may have been the comment about, oh, you mean that skinny little kid with the boogie whip arms I saw on WCW last week or something like that. And it was just trying to figure out, how do we bring him back? That was the talks that we were in with Hulk at that time.
Let's talk about the rest of the whole Flair Warrior thing. Meltzer would say this: there's little doubt that at one point the plan was for Flair to put Warrior over for the title, but Warrior would then be attempted to be pushed as the superstar of the group. However, attendance and TV ratings have plummeted to their lowest level ever, which has resulted in many cancellations, preemptions, and shifts to weaker time slots, which has put the organization in its weakest position since it broke through nationally. In addition, the Flair Warrior title matches have consistently drawn surprisingly weak houses, even trailing the generally weak houses of a Savage Ramon program. Listen, when you left the company, maybe it wasn't quite 1988 or 89 or whatever, but business in the spring of 91 is still a lot stronger than it is here in the fall of 92, is it not?
Probably so, yeah. Yeah, I think that the loss of Hogan, I think, hit them hard, and I don't believe that the answer was Warrior. Tried a couple times with him, and I just don't think that that he was the answer. I think that he had kind of fizzled out. It was a great attraction at one time, but it just wasn't something that the audience was willing to consistently pay for.
Meltzer's going to say that it appears Flair Warrior would at least do average business, but, quote, it is in no way definite right now that Hogan will return. And if Warrior leaves and Hogan doesn't return with the state the business is in right now, this could be a short-term damaging blow because there's no track record that Hart by himself on top can draw. While most people believe Hogan would return, it would have to be on his own terms, which would presumably be less than a full-time schedule. Said differently, it feels like Hulk Hogan has the leverage here. Is that fair to say?
Yes and no. I mean, if for Hogan, he had the leverage, but at the same time, they'd been without him for a while. So we were looking ahead at WrestleMania the next year and trying to figure out, all right, what's that attraction going to be? And didn't want to have a WrestleMania without Hulk Hogan. And that's what we were facing for WrestleMania 9. So, yeah, I mean, talking to Hulk and trying to figure out what's that program, man? How do we get there? And it was a lot different then because you were trying to start a program usually in January or even in December, if you can, to get Hogan back and to be able to tell that story for whatever your WrestleMania story is going to be.
Also, Money Inc. is going to appear and wrestle at these tapings as the new tag team champions, but they haven't even won the belts yet. They did win them the following night in Regina from the National.
Regina.
Yeah, I know, but I just
not Regina.
But Regina sounds inappropriate. I've never been. Anyway, through the magic of television, the general public doesn't have a clue here, but I do like the idea that we're seeing guys show up at TV tapings. This feels like something that used to happen in worldwide all the time, worldwide tapings. Well, okay, here's the new tag team champions. Wait, I don't remember them winning those. This wasn't that common, but it is very WCW style. Meltzer is going to report that Typhoon has to miss a few shows, so we're just waiting until he can get back to have them drop the titles. The Nasty Boys wind up getting involved in the match, and they're going to turn babyface and split with Jimmy Hart. Did you like the Nasty Boys as baby faces?
Yeah. I thought that the Nasty Boys were an updated version of the Bushwhackers.
Okay. I can go with that.
Yeah.
Marty Jannetty is going to return at the Saskatoon tapings. They're going to do an angle where Sherry gets knocked out with a mirror after Shawn pulls her in front of him. Of course, while you were gone with the company, they split the rockers up. Shawn throws Marty through a barbershop window back in January. Marty is fired shortly thereafter. They're going to use the barbershop window to sort of explain the absence. They put Sherry and Shawn back together, but hey, not only are you back, here comes Marty Jannetty too. Of course, we've covered this in the archives.
This was it too, by God.
He may still hold the record. I mean, I know you're competing, but I think Marty has the record for most stops and starts.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I guess I'm third, but JR was like 7.
Oh, there you go. Yokozuna is also going to debut. Meltzer would say he's already bulked up considerably from his tryout 6 weeks earlier as Coquina. Is that a Vince McMahon edict?
No, it wasn't. Absolutely not. I don't even know if it was the outfit that made him look like he had bulked up. Now, eventually Yoko would get there and start bulking up, but no, it wasn't. It was the outfit that made him look so huge.
Well, we all know if you're trying to look bigger than you really are, you need to Manscaped down yonder. This is your reminder. It's never too early to play holiday music. It's never too early to start thinking about gifts either. Whether it's for a friend or, well, the friend in your pants, you can make this season be jolly with Manscaped. Do your little drummer boy a favor. Use the Lawnmower 4.0 to avoid another silent night in the bedroom. And then add in Manscaped's top-of-the-line shower products, and you'll have the people thinking, all I want for Christmas is you. Santa cares about his big old sack. So should you. Look nice when it's time to get naughty. You get 20% off by going to manscaped.com/STW. The Manscaped Platinum Package 4.0 is the one-stop shop for the man who deserves it all. You got everything you need to deck the halls from face to balls. Just in time for mistletoe season. The Platinum Package has each product from the best-selling Performance Package plus Ultra Premium Body Wash, Ultra Premium 2-in-1 Shampoo and Conditioner, Ultra Premium Deodorant. By the way, this Lawnmower 4.0 Body Trimmer and the Weed Whacker Nose and Ear Hair Trimmer, both rocking proprietary advanced skin-safe technology. No nicks, no tugs. You're going to love it. Also waterproof, so there's no issue clearing the snow out of your driveway. There's also a 4000K LED light on this motherfucker. You can light the way up like Rudolph. You ever see your sack under a 4000K LED light? You're missing out. Now that you've grooved your candy cane, let's make sure you don't smell like a reindeer. Let's get some of these Platinum Package shower products. All of the shower gear is sulfate-free, vegan. Going to leave your skin feeling hydrated, smelling fresh. Smelling good doesn't stop at the shower. That's why we recommend the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and the Crop Reviver Ball Toner. The Platinum Package 4.0 sitting under the tree is guaranteed to put anyone in the holiday spirit. It's the perfect stocking stuffer, too. Talking about the brand new Body Buffer. That incredible body scrubber. Going to make exfoliation easy. A lot cleaner than that dirty-ass loofah in your shower, too. Seriously, if you've never gifted Manscaped, I can't recommend it enough. They are going to love it. They will talk about it. They will remember it. And they won't know that you got 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com/STW. You heard me. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com/STW. Manscaped. Get your jingle balls ready for the holidays. You could beat, Bruce. I like that jam. You listen to that when you're shaving your nuts? Oh, it's gone. Fuck that, it's gone. Oh, it's back. Shaving our nuts.
No, I listen to Hot Wax Jimmy, what do you say? I got a brand new record. I gotta play. She says, not now, boy, but I did it anyway, because I'm ready. So ready. Yeah.
And you're pulling them tight, right? You pull them tight when you do it, don't you?
You have to.
Gotta pull them tight.
Yeah.
Speaking of pulling them tight, we're all pulling for Damien Demento with these Saskatoon tapings. He debuts too. God damn, there's so many people coming and going here. I love it. A lot of new people debuting here, and I'm sure you were. You thought for sure.
Mondo Clean beforehand.
Yeah, come on. Don't act like you didn't love Damien Demento.
Oh, I knew Damien Demento. No, it was one that I really was excited for him.
It's quite a presentation. He looks cool, but yeah, he went by Mondo Clean. There he is. If you're watching on YouTube, you got to see this.
Yeah, then the bell rang. Fuck. I mean,
6'3", 269 pounds. I dug it, man. He had
an awesome look. No, he had an awesome look. It just, man, it just didn't translate for whatever reason.
He's from the outer reaches of your mind.
Yes, he is.
That's fantastic.
That's damn right.
They start setting up a feud, if you will, with Howard Finkel and Harvey Whippleman, none of which airs on WWF TV. They rehash this in 94 and 95 for a tuxedo match. Why didn't this go further? Was this just a rib on Howard Finkel?
No, it started. So Whippleman was there, and Whippleman would introduce Kamala and not let Howard introduce Kamala. And there was one point where Whippleman took the microphone and Howard gave him a look like, and we commented on that. And I said, boy, Howard, something there, man. You and Harvey. Right? I think so. Boy, the crowd really reacts, when I kind of bow up to him. And Jack Lanza may have had them cut promos, and Bobby Heenan and Jack would take Harvey and Howard in the interview room and have them cut promos on each other. And they would put Howard in a t-shirt, and Bobby would pour water all over his head. Like, he goes, come on, Howard. And they would give Howard pointers. And Whippleman, I had it to here. Classic fucking promos, man. And more to entertain us, but at the same time, it was, look, man, TV days can be long and they can be monotonous. You got to break them up sometimes. And Howard, was one of these guys. Howard always wanted to work. Howard always wanted to be in the ring and do something. So it's like, man, you know what? let's let them have some fun and do this little thing, and they can do it, and we don't ever have to show it, but it gives them something to do, gives us something to do, and you can kind of have fun with it.
There's a spot here where he pushes Whippleman off the platform, and as he goes to take his jacket off, they start playing Hulk Hogan's music. And
well, what other music would you play?
I love it.
When it comes crashing down and it hurts inside. Dun, dun. You know, Howard posed and shit. Fuck yeah.
At the next set of tapings on the 28th, you're doing it in Louisville, and you even have Finkel do a stretcher job. All the agents come out, including you. And I'm sure he made this happen.
Oh, God.
The stretcher collapses, so he falls a second time. And a lot of
faulty stretcher, man. Faulty stretcher. Well, that was where. So it was. Howard was terrified of taking a bump, and I think that there was a part of him that was really afraid of Kamala. And Howard had never taken a bump, and Poppy and I, Louisville had dressing rooms downstairs, and it was kind of like in the basement. And we're in this room, and Bobby is trying to show Howard how to take a bump. And Howard's like, well, I've never done this before. Is there any other way we can do this? It's like, Howard, if Kamala chops you, it's Kamala. You've got to be dead.
Right.
And what do I do? And Bobby's just throw your feet up in the air, and you take the bump. And when Kamala chopped Howard, it was just timber, and those feet stayed planted on the mat, and it was just like almost in slow motion, just. And of course, you got to sell. You can't smart people up, so it's a ring announcer getting chopped by Young Warrior Kamala. If he gets chopped, he's pretty much about that close to death.
Right.
You gotta take him out on a stretcher because he'd never be able to be wheeled, walk out on his own. So we took him out on a stretcher, and then they asked, do we need an ambulance? It's like, he got chopped by a Ugandan giant. Of course we need an ambulance. And Howard, this was a haha, but this was, like, okay, yeah, Howard, go protect the business, man, go to the hospital. But the rib was on J.J. Dillon because J.J. and Howard rode together. And Howard was so convinced that he had to protect the business that he could not leave that hospital until he personally spoke to Vince. And then Vince gave him the okay to leave. Yeah. And JJ finally talking, and he's like, Bruce, okay, now you guys are cutting into my shit. I'm like,
right.
JJ, just check him out of the hospital, man. Just say he's okay. And okay, gotta go. Yeah.
Meltzer would say a lot of people seem to think they're just gathering footage for the Christmas party, and that none of this will ever air on TV. But that's pretty fun.
It was fuel for the fire later on. We were going to get there. Truly, we were going to get there.
Did you ever have a Finkel tape ever at any Halloween, any Christmas party?
No.
Okay.
I had one of all the promos and everything. Yes, I did.
Tell me about that.
No, it's just a succession of promos, and they kept the tape rolling. So to me, the best part was watching Jack and Bobby producing them, and that was the entertaining part. The Whippleman and Howard's promos are the worst thing you ever saw in your life, but watching Bobby and Jack produce them was gold. It's gold, Jerry. It's gold. Yeah. It was great shit. So I had that tape, but I got the tape of it all.
Jimmy Garvin gets a tryout as a heel. He's doing a promo here with Mean Gene. And this is where the line, "Are you ready for the Survivor Series?" comes from that was used on the WrestleMania, the album in 93. While he's doing this promo, he predicts that all the heels are going to win at Survivor Series. Do you remember Garvin, like what the idea would have been? Was he being considered for a heel manager role or something like that?
I guess, but it probably was one of the all-time worst promos you ever heard in your life. It was like a guy who had watched wrestling all his life.
You want to watch it?
Say, like, I'm going to go be a bad guy now. And it was horrible. It was embarrassingly bad. I was like, God damn, Jimmy, what the fuck were you doing? Not good.
Well, let's take a look at it. Roll that beautiful bean footage for us.
Don't roll that beautiful bean footage.
Why not?
Because it's terrible.
But that's why we want to watch it, because it's bad.
Nah, I don't want to watch it.
Oh, Bruce.
No,
right.
Jimmy was brought in. He was a friend of Pat's and everything. And Jimmy's a talented guy. Jimmy was great in his day. This just wasn't his role. This wasn't his bailiwick.
So the Mountie quits the company after the tapings in Springfield, Illinois on October 26th. He loses a 1-minute WWF title match to Bret Hart. It does not wind up airing on TV. Do you know what Jacques Rougeau's issues were here? It feels like he had enjoyed quite a bit of success as the Mountie. Was it just time to go learn a new hold?
Yeah, I think it was time to go get some smoked meat in Montreal.
Okay, well, let's move on. In the run up to
smoked meat,
I love smoked meat, and I smoke some.
You've never had Montreal smoked meat?
Never been to Montreal. You won't go with me.
Well, that's true, but Montreal smoked meat is really, really, really incredible. Very good. You ever get a chance, go to Schwartz's Deli in Montreal. The best.
We got to talk about the run up to the show here. Meltzer would say, I'm kind of surprised with them using Richfield as a live event, since the house show they drew there on September 12th was just 4,700 paid. WCW is running head to head in Cleveland with only 2,000 paid, but the gate is like 4-1, 72,000 for the WWF, 18,000 for WCW. But Meltzer would say Richfield has already hosted 2 Survivor Series, and the second one saw them heavily pad the place, and they still only had 5,000 empty seats. So I could see how maybe we're saying maybe we burnt this audience out or this crowd out. In 92 here, who would have been in charge of sort of scheduling the arena dates and all that? Had that turned over since you were here before?
No, I said Cohen still.
Okay. So Mountie versus Bulldog is announced on TV for Survivor Series as an Intercontinental title match. And at the next night's TV taping for Saturday night's main event, and now Shawn Michaels is going to capture the Intercontinental title from the British Bulldog on October 27th in Indiana. This is taped for a Fox version of Saturday night's main event that's going to air on November 14th. They go about 9 minutes, but Bulldog is no longer the champ. And you think back to SummerSlam 92, that's the end of August, right? So here we are just 2 months later after that big main event, that big special moment at Wembley Stadium, and boom, Bulldog no longer champ. Was he no longer reliable, to use a Jim Ross word? Is that what you saw when you came back, or was it
No.
just?
It was, the move was made very simply because Bret was the new champion, babyface champion, that we were looking for a heel champion for the Intercontinental Championship. And it was tough to push Bulldog and push those 2 baby faces at the same time. So we were looking for a heel champion to kind of balance Bret out.
I got you. Well, that makes sense. The other 2 matches that will air on the special include the Ultimate Maniacs beating Money Inc. It's a tag team title match, but they win by count out because the heels are just going to walk away. After the match, the Maniacs are going to be attacked in a 5-on-2 when Flair, Mr. Perfect, and Razor Ramon join in. Bret Hart also retains. He's going to pin Papa Shango. But of course, now the idea is, instead of having the Intercontinental title be defended at Survivor Series with Mountie and Bulldog, well, Mountie's out of here. Bulldog's no longer champ. Shawn Michaels is. So the idea is now champ versus champ at Survivor Series. Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart. No, not 1997, but 5 years prior. But before we get there, boy, we're going to have some scandals. The Ultimate Maniacs match is going to be moved to the first spot on the Fox Saturday Night Main Event show. And the story will be built throughout the show where Bobby Heenan gets a call saying that there's going to be some changes at Survivor Series 92 and the Ultimate Maniacs may be no more. And all of this is done in post because, as Meltzer would say, quote, probably the single worst thing that could happen to a promotion short of a scandal would be a pay-per-view main eventer walking out at the last minute. As everyone knows, that basically happened last week to Titan Sports, as both Ultimate Warrior and British Bulldog quit the promotion in moves that appeared to be unrelated, except they both happened within a day of each other. This forced Titan to come up with the emergency angle that aired Monday night with Primetime Wrestling, turning Curt Hennig babyface and teaming him with Randy Savage in the Survivor Series against Ric Flair and Razor Ramon. So this is a 3-day story and pivot, and it's really some great stuff, but it does require a whole bunch of pressure and last-minute wrangling here, does it not?
Well, yeah, and Meltzer's report, of course, is not true.
Okay.
Warrior and Bulldog did not quit. They were released.
Well, we're going to talk about that, but what I'm most interested in is the idea that we got to pivot and we got to do it in 3 days. Is this one of the most chaotic moments in your tenure at the company at that point?
I don't know, but it was chaotic. I mean, it was like, okay, things happen and you gotta make changes. So you just, it's funny. And maybe I'm weird like this, but you give me chaos and I'm calm.
Yeah,
I am calm and in chaos. So I like that. I think that's when I'm at my best, when everybody else is going crazy and, oh my God, what are we going to do? It's like, okay, what are we going to do? Let's figure it out.
right. So here's the rest of the article from Meltzer that you can poke holes in. Although both men were said to have been fired by the company, other sources are claiming they actually quit. Probably a little bit of both. Although, at least in the case of Warrior, it was more quit than fired. The Warrior situation wasn't unexpected, but the Smith situation came with a little warning. Some within the organization expected Warrior to be history before the TV tapings in Canada, which saw Bret win the title, and Hart and Savage as the new tag team in the Survivors. When that didn't transpire, it was pretty much considered a given that because so much had already gone into the advertising for the pay-per-view, it would be easier to bite the bullet and wait until after the show to make any changes. But Warrior was more than likely not going to be there after the pay-per-view. That wasn't a definite, even though they were given an indication it was, since Warrior were still being planned to headline the house shows in December, and they had at least started a TV angle to start a new program with Nailz, which frankly would have died at the gate. And he would continue here. Smith attempted to leave the promotion on good terms, although it doesn't appear that many consider the situation all that good. Aside from the Survivor Series problem, the promotion had given both Randy Savage and Big Boss Man time off after Survivor Series. Warrior and Bulldog were going to be the two top headline babyfaces on one of the two touring shows, causing the company to be forced to basically revamp much of the plans for the winter quarter. In addition, Warrior was going to most likely be the focal point of WrestleMania's main event, so Plan A is totally out the window. Now, of course, we know there's been lots of rumor and innuendo that this is centered around steroids, or at least performance-enhancing drugs. Set the record straight. You were there. What really happened in both of these cases?
They both violated the policies.
Okay.
And they were both fired. Not ideal.
Yeah.
By any stretch of the imaginations. But that's what it was. I mean, no more, no less. But they didn't quit. And it wasn't really a conversation. It was nothing they could do.
The rumor and innuendo is that allegedly Warrior or Bulldog, I'm not sure which, one of these fellas, I get them confused, maybe left something behind in a hotel room they shouldn't have. Is that the story you've heard before? Okay. Well, I'm just curious. Is this just from the random drug testing then that you were doing at the time? There's no sort of outside third party story attached to either one of these?
No, they both admitted it.
Okay.
And it's like, me coming to you and say, hey, Conrad, I stole that $500,000 from you.
Right.
I'm like, what are you going to do? Okay.
So they just showed up at TV and said, hey, we're doing drugs?
No, they called and there was reason and they admitted it. So it's like, okay, well then
Now what?
Not much else anybody can do.
Well, fans are disappointed.
So are we.
With Warrior leaving with no notice, Titan was forced to bring Undertaker back too soon to headline the California shows against Nailz, who himself was substituting for the previously announced Ric Flair. The other main event of Hart versus Mountie wasn't changed on TV until Saturday to Rick Martel, so the Midtown weeks had a changed main event as well. So the Warrior no-show in Chico apparently results in a near riot, and there's a 30-second main event. In Sacramento, fans are really unruly after the 30-second match ends, but eventually they calm down. In LA, they're chanting refund, refund. In Oakland, it's the smallest show that they've ran since they went national. Just 2,400 fans there. Man, Flair being hurt, Mountie quitting, Warrior and Bulldog being sent home. It's a challenging time here, is it not?
Oh, without a doubt. It's just being snake bit and everything happening all at one time. It sucks.
The weekend shows are down 25% across the board on TV. WWE is about to hit the panic button here, especially when Saturday night's main event airs on Fox. This is a national show on November 14th, and it does a 6.1 rating and a 10 share. In these days, boy, people would be doing cartwheels, but back then, that meant out of 92 primetime shows, it came in at number 86. That's disappointing. You got 5.27 million homes, about 8 million total viewers. Don't get me wrong, big audience for the company, but probably not what Fox was hoping for. Fair to say?
I don't know what Fox was really hoping for, because this was, I guess you could say, an experiment. It was a one-off, and it was something to, is there anything in the future for us? And I don't know. Obviously, we were hoping for a lot better, and we were basing it on the Saturday night's main event on NBC. Fox was relatively new as well. So you're looking at a network that people, Fox was last in the ratings of all networks. We were hoping that we could be that, that show that could give them that spark and everything, and it just didn't happen.
It's fascinating to take a look at the old buy rates and see how it moved around. We're going to talk about that for Survivor Series here in a moment. But before we do, I want to remind everybody that this audience on Fox, where we're teasing there might be a problem with the Ultimate Maniacs, does 4 times the audience as opposed to the 2-hour angle on TV on primetime, where we're going to have Mr. Perfect replace Warrior. Was that just a function of you already had one in the can and it just wasn't possible, versus the other's a studio show and kind of easy by comparison?
Yeah. I mean, it's, for syndication, you're so far out in advance versus being on a network show where you could literally deliver it day of if you had to.
Right.
Your syndication shows, you're sending them out 8 days in advance.
It's just fascinating to take a look at these old shows and see how they were produced. Because these days it feels like everything is done live. The buy rate comes in for SummerSlam 92, and we've got 280,000 buys for that show. The show we're covering today, SummerSlam, or Survivor Series rather, there's 250,000. Last year's show, which had Undertaker and Hulk Hogan for the title, did 300,000. So we're down a little bit, but man, it still sounds pretty solid to me. I mean, if Hulk Hogan's sort of the face that runs the place and the brand and the heritage of this thing, and we're doing him against the Undertaker, who was undefeated and quite an act, Now we're coming back with Shawn and Bret on top, who maybe aren't as established as a Hulk Hogan, as a household name or what have you. Going from 250 to or 300 to 250 doesn't sound that bad.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're not moving in the right direction. And from an audience standpoint, come on, man, you basically had all your stars, exit stage left. And everything was new. Everything was brand spanking new. That there wasn't, especially when in hindsight, you look at it, oh my God, how'd you do that in a couple weeks? And it was all just so fast trying to get everything done. Not ideal by any stretch of the imagination. It was not a strong card. I don't think it was a very good card. But we did what we had to do and to get the match in the ring and get on the air.
This show does draw 17,500 fans. Meltzer would say it's not nearly as papered as last year's, so it's interesting. Maybe some fans were ready for something new. The readers of the Observer, though, they didn't love this show. 37.9% thumbs up, 39.3% thumbs down, 22.8% thumbs in the middle. Let me ask you personally, were you pumped to be at a pay-per-view again? I mean, you've been on the outside looking in, you've been at some TV tapings, but you're at another big show here, 17,500. Does it feel like riding a bike?
Yes, it does. You just kind of jump back in it and go.
We got Vince and Bobby handling the announcing on the show. Is there a particular reason you think that Vince wanted to handle the play-by-play on this instead of Gorilla? Gorilla is back for the Royal Rumble, so it was a little different.
I just think that it was what it was. I don't know there's any reason for it.
Well, let's talk about the matches. Head Shrinkers are going to be taking on High Energy in 7 minutes and 38 seconds. Fatu is going to pin Hart with a splash off the top rope. Meltzer would call it a good action-packed opener, 2.25 stars. Man, the Samoans and WWE just go hand in hand. Do they know it?
Absolutely. I mean, you look at the heritage, man. Look at that lineage. It's just find me one that can't work. Find me one that doesn't have charisma. I'm sorry, man. It's just it's bred, and I think that that's a hereditary thing that. That lineage, man, that line, they're just studs. They're incredible athletes, incredible performers.
Head Shrinkers take a lot of the offense here. High Energy on the other side is Owen Hart and Coco Beware. Found it interesting that Owen takes the pin, not Coco. Not that it probably mattered. Match number 2 is Big Boss Man and Nailz. And boy, this is the promo and the build. The story for this match, a lot of hardcore old school WWF fans, they love it and say that this was great stuff. What do you think about this angle?
I thought the angle was absolutely incredible and genius. I wish I'd been a part of that because I thought that was so well done and really built up. Unfortunately, Nailz was not a great worker by any stretch of the imagination. And the dynamic, man, it was all there. That was one of those, by God, I've got to see. And then you see it, you go, ooh, I wish I hadn't seen that.
Yeah.
And, Boss Man tried, but Nailz was an attraction. Nailz was somebody that you needed to see in short doses. So I never really cared for the matches. Loved the build. Loved both characters, but that damn bell ring screws everything up.
Well, this one in particular is interesting because our old pal Vince Russo takes a lot of heat for this when he put shit on a pole, whether it was Viagra or Judy Bagwell. He's not here. This is a Nightstick on a pole match, though.
Yeah, we were putting shit on a pole since I can remember. I think the most common thing on a pole back in the day was a coal miner's glove on a pole.
I thought it was a single mom.
Well, But, I mean, how many coal miners do you know that wear gloves with like the little gimmicks on them?
Just Jake the Snake and Sting. Those are the only two people I know who've rocked a coal miner's glove.
Yeah, Tom's rocked him. My brother Tom was in a lot of those. He was at one time, I believe, the king of the coal miners glove match.
Man, that right there, we got to get him a shirt for that.
Yeah.
King of the coal miners glove match. I like that.
Yeah.
Of course, Boss Man comes down with the stick. He's going to hit Nailz a few times. Nailz gets it away. Boss Man makes a comeback, scores a clean pin. And Meltzer would say, considering the respective positions of each on upcoming shows, this result was something of a surprise. It did feel as if you were reading the Observer, that Nailz was going to be getting a bit of a push, and maybe Boss Man not so much, but we're sending the fans home happy here, no?
Exactly. Had a lot of substitutions, a lot of change. Happy, joy, joy.
And all that happy horse shit and all that.
Yeah, whatever it takes.
So let's talk about the next match here. But before we do, I want to ask, did you think that the Nailz experiment at this point was it done? Once this story is finished, do we have anything else for him? What could we have transitioned into something cooler? Could his character have evolved?
Yeah, you could have gotten to him and Taker easily. And I think that would have been a huge program for him. The Nailz character was just something you needed to keep off TV working. He could beat people up beautifully. Just never needed to see him work. And if you did, you paid to see it, and then you went, it looks much better on TV.
I'm not asking this to be funny. I'm asking sincerely. A lot of times, a lot of the creative ideas we see that like Dusty would come up with, or even other creative folks in wrestling, they would lean into something that happened in pop culture, what was popular at the movie theaters or television, and borrow a character, maybe music or pop culture, whatever. Well, 5 years after this, we would see the debut of an HBO show called Oz. And this is really one of the first like prison series that was common and a big hit here in America and critically acclaimed and blah, blah, blah. Was the prisoner gimmick maybe a little too far ahead of its time? Do you think it would have been better if it was?
Well, it was pop culture, and Oz stole it from us.
Well, no doubt. I mean, I think everybody knows that Adebisi was just doing his best Nailz.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Next up, we've got Tatanka and Rick Martel in singles action. And they're going to have, quote unquote, the clown show up playing heel, which pretty much distracts the audience away from the match. And they're reacting to the clown, and they have their heads turned away from the ring. Lots of rest holds, a star and a quarter. Tatanka gets the win. Do you know if anybody had an issue with doing the distraction during their matches? Was anybody complaining about that? Or were they cool, since pretty much the storyline is Tatanka's pissed that they stole his feathers?
I would be pissed too. Wouldn't you?
If
I stole your headdress behind you,
there'd be feather
would
heat.
you be pissed?
You and I would have feather heat.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But I wouldn't care if there was a clown out there while I was exacting my revenge. Just saying.
Okay, good to know.
But the clown was entertaining. The clown is down.
Once Tatanka won, do you think he had like a chant or a cheer? What do you think he would have said when he won the match?
I'm not going to go there.
You don't have a Tatanka anymore? You've done it before?
No.
Okay.
Like that, don't you?
We can roll the credits. I don't think it gets any better than that. The promos building up to the next match, I think you should go out of your way to watch. You got some of the best talkers in the history of wrestling here. They're just fun. Lots of great pre-match hype for Randy Savage and Mr. Perfect wrestling Ric Flair and Razor Ramon. As a reminder, this is supposed to be the Warrior, not Mr. Perfect. But, well, I'm glad to see Mr. Perfect back. It goes 16 minutes and 19 seconds. Meltzer would say the Perfect showed lots of rust, wasn't in his best shape, but really the thing came down in the last 2 weeks, so he's doing what he can. It gets 3 1/4 stars, but it's a DQ. And Meltzer would say the finish was one tired cliche after another, a ref bump, a second ref, a weak double DQ for double teaming. And then Ramones had hit Savage with a chair. Flair gets Perfect in the figure 4. Both faces make their own save. Savage comes out with a chair for both men. And Meltzer would say this makes 3 consecutive pay-per-view shows where the announced main event ends without a clean finish, which sounds more like old WCW. And I know once upon a time, this is what we did on pay-per-view because our money was made on the house shows. But this does feel like we're trying to say, well, hey, man, we're going to try some new things. Things they are changing. We're going to put title switches on Coliseum Video, and we're not even going to show other title switches, and we'll put some on TV. And it does feel like we're trying new things. But why the DQ finish here? Why not just have a clean finish, Bruce?
Well, I don't think that who you going to beat? You don't want to beat Razor.
Why couldn't you beat Flair?
Kind of predictable to beat Flair.
Okay.
So have some Gaga. Not going to beat Savage. Not going to be perfect in his return. So, have a DQ. Kind of throw it out. Try to protect everybody. I know Dave Meltzer speaks from his years of all of his successful booking.
Oh.
I think he won Booker of the Year in his own mind for the last 42 years, whatever it is. But it's another vehicle. It's another way to tell a story.
Well, listen, I get why you don't want Randy to lose. You need another baby face on the road. I guess Perfect's coming back. He can't really lose. Razor's getting the big push. He can't lose. Maybe you don't want Flair to lose because he's supposed to be working with Bret on top in the house shows. So, hey, when in doubt, double DQ.
Do what you got to do.
Yokozuna's out next. After that big debut, he's ready for a big pay-per-view win. He pins Virgil in 3 minutes and 34 seconds after sitting on him. Meltzer would say Yokozuna is going to be a moneymaker, and this was exactly what should have been seen. And next up, we've got the Natural Disasters and the Nasty Boys teaming up to take on Money Inc. and the Beverly Brothers.
Oh, God.
Everyone went to the bathroom. Everyone got popcorn. Some people called their mom just to check in. I think at the time, I was only 11. I started offering to help my parents do their taxes. Anything other than watch Money Inc. and the Beverly Brothers take on the Nasty Boys and the Natural Disasters, Meltzer would say, psychologically, it's pretty hard to get a lot out of a crowd when the heels are being pounded and being outmanned. IRS pins Typhoon for a second fall in 6 minutes and 20 seconds after DiBiase trips him. The third fall lasts only 5 seconds, with Sags pinning IRS with a schoolboy. Star and a quarter, rather. So it's not a straight elimination match. Just one member of the team gets eliminated. The whole team is eliminated.
That's a mercy killing right there. Okay. It was bad enough as it was. Let's not draw it out anymore. It was terrible. Sorry. Can't win them all. Sucked.
Yeah, it is.
Great guys, but it sucked.
Here's what we needed. I don't want to speak ugly of these performers, but I think just seeing it on paper, it's like, I don't know if there's enough backstory here. Let's just hope they don't shit the bed. Hey, speaking of beds, did you know that traditional bed sheets can harbor more bacteria than a toilet seat? It can lead to acne, allergies, stuffy noses, and it's just gross. Miracle brand offers a whole line of self-cleaning, eco-friendly bedding like sheets, pillowcases, and comforters that prevent 99% of bacteria and require 3 times less laundry. By using these silver-infused fabrics originally developed by NASA, Miracle brand is thermoregulating. That's right. They're designed to keep you at the perfect temperature all night long so you get better sleep all night long. And these sheets are infused with that natural silver. That's going to prevent 99.9% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresher 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors. Not like the Nasty Boys. Miracle sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands. And by the way, Miracle sheets make the perfect gift for your spouse, your friends, or your family. Who doesn't want better sleep and luxurious feeling bed sheets? And since these come with 3 free towels, maybe you get 2 gifts in one, just in time for the holidays. So stop sleeping on bacteria. Clean sheets mean less bacteria to clog your pores, fewer breakouts, and other skin problems. So we want you to go to trymiracle.com/wrestle. Try it today or gift it to someone special this holiday season. We've got a special deal for our listeners. Save 40% off. Be sure to use our promo code WRESTLE at checkout to save even more and get you 3 free towels, y'all. By the way, Miracle's so confident in their product, it's backed with a money-back guarantee. It's not something you ever got from Money Inc. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. which a lot of people probably ask for after a Beverly Brothers match. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Brand. Go to trymiraclebrand.com/wrestle. Use the code WRESTLE. Claim your 3 towel set, daddy. It's free. Save 40% off too. That's trymiracle.com/wrestle to treat yourself. A friend
And
or a loved
you're
one.
going to be ordering more, trust me.
I love mine. You like yours?
I absolutely love them.
We want you to try Miracle Brand, and we thank them for sponsoring today's podcast. Trymiraclebrand.com/wrestle. Tony Schiavone liked it so much, Bruce. He's got it on every bed in the house. But Megan and I are sleeping on them right now. I'm going to say that.
So I ordered more.
I think everybody will. I wanted more of this too, even if it wasn't all that good. It's Undertaker pinning Kamala in 5 minutes and 27 seconds. He hits that motherfucker with an urn, puts him in a coffin. Kimchi had gotten the urn away from Paul Bearer. Kamala got it first, but he's too scared to use it. Meltzer would say this was terrible wrestling, but there were some funny facial expressions by Kamala. He gives it a dud. I don't know what we expected, but this checked my box. It's not too long. We got to see a motherfucker put in a coffin. And Bruce, I think we were even able to reach Kamala's penis for comment. What did he think of this match? There we go. That's old school right there, Daddy. Kimchi, of course, is Steve Lombardi. It's not very.
I remember doing that show, laying on my bed in Friendswood, Texas. We had like the power was out or something because I had to do it on the phone. Remember,
You weren't at the building for this one?
No, when I did the
Yes.
Yeah, just in general.
Yeah. I think the power was out because you'd been hit by one of them hurricanes.
I think so.
Yeah.
Hurricane.
This match did not hit us like a hurricane. It was just kind of there.
Oh, it's great.
You liked it for the first
I
coffin
did.
match?
You damn right. I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
I'm sure they spent a long time having Taker nail the lid shut on the coffin after he was declared the winner. I'm sure Kamala was just thrilled with that, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, how you got to? It's old school. You got to nail the gimmick down to Fernum on the Snavets.
Oh man, everybody knows if your Fernum don't touch your Snavets, you're in trouble.
If it's not sealed,
Yeah.
got to make sure the Fernum is Snavets to the Fernum seal.
And if you don't do that right, you
Application.
burned your house down yesterday frying a turkey. Like
That's
you got to
right.
make sure the Fernum don't touch the Snavets, because if it does, you're in trouble.
You know it.
Speaking of
I'm
trouble,
a turkey prime fool.
are you really?
Oh yeah.
I'm a smoker joker.
Nah, man, I do fried all the way. Fried. Good stuff.
Seems
Yeah.
scary.
Huh?
I'm a little intimidated.
Don't be intimidated. Get you one of them like Butterball indoor fryers, but do it outside. And don't. Hey, folks, I'll give you a tip. You can tell them Bruce told you this. Frying turkeys, man, don't go over 12 pounds. Okay, if you want more meat than that, then just get 2 turkeys.
Okay.
All right, but 12 pounds is the ideal size frying. I don't care how big your fryer is. Just telling you.
I got one of those after you talked about it. I think I was gifted one last Christmas, and I haven't used it yet. But I'm just gonna smoke it, man.
Okay.
Bret Hart makes Shawn Michaels submit in the main event. 26 minutes and 40 seconds. He wins with the sharpshooter. Of course, he'd try that move against this opponent 5 years later. It didn't really work out. This one starts slow, but the crowd gets into it from the start all the way to the finish. Meltzer would say technically excellent with several hot moves from both sides and no flaws at all. The finish would see Michaels come off the top rope with a drop kick, but Hart catches the legs, turns it into the Scorpion. And after the match, Santa Claus came down to the ring and held Bret's hand up. It would have been the perfect spot for an angle, but instead they gimmicked snow to fall instead of fireworks for a triumphant babyface clean win, ending 4.5 stars. Really an underrated match. And
that was the real Santa Claus too, by the way.
That wasn't Mick Foley in costume. That was the real deal.
That was the real deal right there, man.
That wasn't Santa Claus.
No, that was Santa. The real dude, man. And this guy took his stuff so seriously. Had his own dressing room. Came in. Had shit on, like the hoodie and everything. We kept him hidden all night. This is a big surprise. It was a big deal.
Wow, that's exciting.
It was.
I mean, we do get Santa Claus eventually. but it's a little ways away.
Not yet. Not yet.
This match here, though, is kind of like the forgotten Shawn Michaels Bret Hart match, is it not? It feels like everybody talks about the one at Survivor Series 97 or the one at WrestleMania 12, but this is a damn good one here early.
It was excellent. This was both guys at this point in their careers, both guys in their single runs making a statement.
Yeah.
That I should be the guy. And that's what the beauty of this match was.
I want to remind everybody, the first pay-per-view of the year was the Royal Rumble, and that's where Ric Flair went on and put on a show, maybe one of the best Rumbles of all time. And now as we fast forward here, this is the last pay-per-view of 1992, and the world title match, the main event, is Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. Say what you want about this company, but we start and end this year with some pretty outstanding world title matches. Do we know it?
The best, yes.
Yeah. Do you think at this point, Shawn and Bret are the best two wrestlers in the company? Since Flair's kind of on again, off again with vertigo.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody could touch their work anywhere in the world this time.
Bret has now officially killed it from 2 straight pay-per-view main events, SummerSlam and now this. Do you think after, 2 back-to-back strong showings like this, Vince was feeling more convinced than ever that Bret's the new guy?
Yeah, I think the jury was still out, but Bret was delivering without a doubt, and Shawn was delivering. Like I said, we had these 2 best guys in the business at the time in the ring with each other. So I think we're very confident in that.
Let's talk about this show. Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle for you.
I love the last match. I enjoyed the Taker match. I thought the rest of it kind of sucked.
All right. Well,
it just wasn't. It was hodgepodge, man. It was. I remember just thinking like, oh my God, get this show over with.
Right.
And start from here. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was, Yoko had a good night going out, just destroying Virgil. Again, I enjoyed the Taker casket match, and Bret Shawn was terrific. Everything else, yeah.
Well, let's do some questions here. Horror Movie Barbecue wants to know, were the Beverly Brothers ever discussed being tag team champions, as best you recall?
Not during my run there. I think they were kind of starting to finish up by the time I got there.
Brad Bell wants to know, I've always been a fan of Rick Martel. Why do you think he's not talked about much these days? It seems like he's tried to stay out of the limelight.
That's Rick's choice. Rick is living his life and doesn't want to be in the limelight. One of the greatest ever to put on a pair of boots.
Stupid ass question by Yambag Jones. Only stupid because I didn't think of it.
By what?
I love this idea. Did you ever try to think of Nailz in a tag team after the Boss Man feud? Maybe if you were looking for something for him to do. What if he tagged with Craig the Hammer Valentine as Hammer and Nailz? Yambag, what's wrong with you?
That's just fucking stupid.
But I like it. I'm going to tell you. I do. Well, you dyed his hair, made him rhythm and blues. There are worse ideas.
That was good.
Oh, will you stop?
That was good.
GJ Refill says, are the rumors and innuendo true, Bruce, that High Energy's wardrobe was based on the way you were dressing back in 92 with those hammer pants?
I never wore hammer pants. I would, because it looked nice and roomy.
Be comfortable.
Yeah.
For your freshly shaved balls.
Wrestling
Study Podcast says, if Mr. Perfect was not the partner, how was the original match going to end? DQ, pinfall, submission, etc. That's interesting. Let's pretend it doesn't get blown up. And it is the Ultimate Maniacs. What do you do for a finish then, Bruce? Still a double D?
No, then we definitely have the Warriors just beat the shit out of Flair.
Yeah, I love you for that. Ryback's only fan says, Scott Hall said in a 2015 interview he was originally going to kayfabe break Randy's leg after the match to explain his retirement from in-ring action in order to do commentary. So let's think about that. Before it all gets switched around, do you think that was something that was considered, that Razor could, after the match, quote unquote, break Randy's leg, and that sets up an opportunity for Randy to do commentary again?
I've never heard that in my life.
Okay. Well, you got to get hot about it.
I'm about half hot.
Well, you're probably half hot because it's taken us god dang 6 years to talk about the Legion of Doom. It's finally here next week. Oh, what a rush. We're going to talk about the old territory days of the AWA, Jim Crockett Promotions, all as the Road Warriors. And then we come into the company here as the Legion of Doom. We're going to feud with Demolition. We're going to find out what the hell Rocco was doing around here. And, of course, we're going to talk about the more modern stuff. We'll talk about Crush. We'll talk about the WWF in 97. We'll talk about the Attitude Era, LOD 2000, Sunny, the Drunk Angle, Draws, Leaving Again.
How about the time you sent Road Warrior Animal to the Chicago baseball game in his makeup as a rib, made him walk through the crowd with some guy that didn't know where the hell he was going.
Yeah, that we know who that is. And we don't talk about him on this show.
Okay. Yeah, I don't either because I don't know who it is, but yeah.
I'm just busting balls. Stupid ass Dave Hancock.
Yeah, well.
We didn't know he was just
you got the stupid ass part right.
We didn't know he was just a Cubs mark who wanted a fucking jersey and wanted to
tag
along for a free
jersey.
And
have Animal walk through with his makeup on and sitting in the middle of a row.
By the way, don't even act like you didn't come back to the hotel howling with laughter.
I was howling with laughter throughout the whole thing. Going, no, Joe. Hey, no, man. No, come on. It'll be all right. It'll be good. Because nobody knew who the hell I was, so it was great.
Yeah, you look like a regular person, except for the mom.
I had my cap on. I was good. I've got pictures of that somewhere on my phone.
Well, I can't wait to talk about the LOD next week. We hope that you guys will join us. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Throw us the like if we think we deserved it. And, man, we'd be honored to have your 5-star rating. I know Bruce doesn't believe in 5 stars, but the algorithms do. You can also follow me on Twitter. Hey, it's Conrad. If you'd like to just follow and never see anything at all, follow Bruce at Bruce Prichard. You can also follow me on Instagram at Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. But my favorite is if you follow us on Twitter, the actual show. It's at Prichard Show. You can find that on Twitter or Instagram at Prichard Show. If you're looking for us on Facebook, that's Something to Wrestle over on Facebook. And, man, we want you to go to our YouTube. It's the best way to introduce the wrestling fan in your life to little bite-sized snacks, appetizers, if you will, a little teaser, a little taste of Something to Wrestle. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn your notifications bell on. We got some cool promotions coming your way, some bonus content and whatnot over on YouTube. It's somethingtowrestle.com. Bruce, this was fun, man. I'm glad you guys had a good Thanksgiving, and I'm fired up. We talked about Survivor Series from 30 years ago, but Survivor Series happens tomorrow. Are you nervous, anxious, excited?
I ain't scared.
I ain't scared neither. Boston
tonight, actually. I'm going to go and I'll be with Undertaker at his One Dead Man show.
Oh, well, how cool is that, man? That'll be fun.
That'll be fun.
Hope you guys have fun at that, and be sure to watch Raw tonight or SmackDown tonight. And don't forget, tomorrow night on Peacock. Wait
a minute. How can I do this? Look at that. I found it.
Oh, my gosh. Road Warrior Animal in a Cubs jersey, chilling. So fantastic. Send that over to Phil. He'll make sure he gets that thrown up big screen for us.
And then that's me with my trophy. I won that. Wait, hang on. Wait, there it is.
Oh, you won that? They gave you a World Series trophy?
Yeah, they gave me the World Series trophy.
That's cool.
And I brought it to the Astros.
That's the first one they stole. Maybe the second one. All right, my bad. Maybe that was too far. One last question. I don't know if you've seen it yet, so I'm just going to ask. Did you see the new 3-part special on Peacock that just came out?
I have not.
I sat down and watched it, and I don't know what to think. I can't wait to get your take on it one day. It's different. I think that's the right word. I'll go with that. Different.
All right.
But here's what I know is going to be fantastic. War Games on pay-per-view tomorrow night. Or not on pay-per-view. On Peacock.
Right.
Survivor Series tomorrow night. You don't want to miss it. One hell of a card. The train keeps rolling. We'll see you guys next week right here talking Legion of Doom on Something to Wrestle with Bruce Prichard.
Rock on!